Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Thanks to the folks at Guarantee Health Solutions for bringing you our Monday shows each and every week. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and a whole weekend to react to here over the next couple of hours. Chris Marler's going to be here in an hour. He, of course, does some work for us on LouisianaSports.net, runs our social media, and he was out at Pro Day today. So we're going to listen to what he had to see out there at Pro Day. It sounds like it was a fast track out there at LSU today. Harold Perkins with a very, very fast time. Mansour Lane with a very, very fast time. Garrett Nussmeier was out there throwing some footballs. So curious to catch up with Chris and see what he saw over there on campus earlier today. Plus, spring football starts tomorrow. They will be out there on the practice field just about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I've got a couple segments today where I'll start to talk about what I'm going to be looking for with the access that we get. And I'm not really sure how much access that's going to be. We still haven't gotten a schedule. But I think we're going tomorrow. So we'll see what we see, and I'll talk a little bit about it as we move forward. LSU women's basketball is moving on to the second weekend. We saw a lot of men's basketball over the weekend. So lots to do. Let's crank it up with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
When I last left you on Friday, I was feeling pretty good. Case and Evans just struck out 15. LSU had won a comfortable game one. You felt like you had Cooper Moore and William Schmidt ready to go in games 2 and 3. You're at home. Reason to believe, based on the offensive run production in Nashville, the offensive run production on Thursday, the state of the bullpen, that it was looking advantageous for LSU to get at least one more game and get back on track against Oklahoma. And it didn't happen. It did not happen. LSU had 2 situations present themselves where they needed to make a play, and they were unable to do it on Friday and Saturday. On Friday, Derek Curiel dug in with the bases loaded and got a 3-0 count, and then watched strike one and watched strike two, as he should have. And then he popped up the next pitch, and LSU was unable to dent the lead and get back into that game on Friday, and they lost it. Gave up an insurance run and ended up losing the game. And then on Saturday, Gavin Guidry goes back out there. He's probably low on fumes. He issues a leadoff walk, couple of hits, but Sheeran comes in and gets the ground ball, and Jack Ruckert kicks it. Probably would have been a double play to end the inning and complete another high wire act, which LSU had been performing out of the bullpen for 3 innings at that point. But you didn't make the play. That scores a run. Sac fly scores another. You lose the game. You're close. These games are competitive. You're losing on a walk-off home run on Friday in Nashville. You've got your guy at the plate with the bases loaded in the 7th on Friday, and you can't get it done. You've got a lead in the 8th inning on Saturday, and you can't get – you're close, but you're not good enough. And the biggest issue this weekend was not that Jack Ruckert kicked a ground ball, was not that Gavin Guidry was sent out where he was low on fumes. The reason LSU didn't get anything done this weekend in terms of winning the series is because the offense was terrible. Terrible. On the weekend, LSU was 18 for 89. That is a 202 batting average for the weekend. That's going to lose almost every time. And obviously, if you've got overall statistics that are bad, you're going to have bad situational statistics as well. LSU was 9 for 43 with runners on base. 9 for 43. That is a 209 batting average. And with runners in scoring position, LSU was 5 for 29. That is a 172 batting average. You did not hit. Now, LJ Mercurius is a good pitcher that you saw on Friday. The days get jumbled with those Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. In Game 2, you saw Mercurius, and he's pretty good. But you got him out of the game in the 6th inning. And Oklahoma's bullpen is okay. It's not great. And you saw a freshman in game 3 on Saturday, who's talented. He's left-handed. He's tall. Fastball ticked up to 96. Talented dude. But he had given up runs to A&M. He had given up runs to Santa Clara. And all you could really muster was one swing from Omar Cerna. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But, like, Jake Brown's been Superman for this team, right? He's the star. He's the only guy who has hit all season. Well, Skip Johnson is no dummy, okay? You don't win as many games as he has at Oklahoma and almost win a national championship by being silly, and he's not. So he looked at Jake Brown and said, well, you're not going to do much this weekend, bud. So they walked him 6 times. What did LSU do in those 6 spots after Jake Brown walked? 0 for 5 with a walk. Why would you pitch to Jake Brown if you're not scared of anybody behind him? And why would you be? Stephen Milam was 1 for 11. Derek Curiel was 2 for 11. Brown was 1 for 7. Like, those 3 guys who were your stars produced 4 hits, and they were all singles. And I thought really a fitting end to LSU's offensive weekend after Ruckert kicks the double play ball and the sac fly gives Oklahoma the lead. You still got 6 outs to play with. And you're at the 2-hole of your lineup. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The meat of your lineup is coming up. You're down 1. You're at home. Season's on the line. Not season's on the line. Series is on the line. What do you got? They went up and down in order in the 8th and up and down in order in the 9th. They saw 16 total pitches. Just no punch whatsoever. Like, yeah, Jake Brown crushed one, and I'd like that to be off the wall or fly out of the ballpark, and their left fielder makes a great play, but that's the point. Oklahoma made the plays they had to. They turned the double plays when they needed to on Friday and Saturday. They made the pitches they had to. I mentioned Curiel got ahead 3-0 in that spot. In the game on Friday, John Pearson got up 3-0 with the runner on first base, and he ended up hitting a double play. You're just not able to create enough offense. I went through some statistics for LSU offensively. You're 13th in the SEC in batting average, 10th in hits, 12th in doubles, 11th in slugging percentage, 13th in stolen bases. Like, you're in the bottom half or near the bottom in almost everything offensively. And so the question is, like, where do you get some help from? And the answer sounds something like this. I realize that I've done this exercise in my head before, and I'm sure this is what Jay Johnson's thinking about a lot. A lot of this just sounds like, well, everybody's got to play better. But let's, like, look at more specific spots that have to produce more. You absolutely, positively must get more from Stephen Milam. He can do it. That is not asking for something we've never seen. Now, last year in SEC play, he was bad. And now you've got a year and a half worth of sample that's not very good. But his freshman year was good, and his postseason was good. He can produce more. He's hitting 237. 237. That's got to be closer to 290. And that's reasonable to expect. You need a little bit more from Derek Curiel. Like, he's hitting 323, which is a good, but that he's got to be better than that. And he's got to produce more runs. He's got 1 home run. Like, he's got to be a star. And then what could happen here, and you're seeing a little bit of it. I wrote about this after the game on Saturday. There's a possibility that Omar Cerna can become a star here. Like, the physical gifts are there. And sometimes freshmen just blossom, and they become great, great players. Curiel did it last year. Milam did it the year before that. We have seen great freshmen show up at LSU. And Omar Cerna is 6'2" and 245 pounds and has probably the most raw power on this team. And you saw that in the game on Saturday. And maybe he's your 3rd or 4th hitter, and he's a guy that we weren't counting on in this offensive equation, but he is that. And Jay Johnson said after the game on Saturday, like, he's not coming out of the lineup. And he's not. He's going to hit in the middle. He's going to hit 3rd or 4th. And you're probably going to have to deal with some strikeouts, but there's doubles in there, and there are absolutely homers in there. And everybody kind of develops at a different pace, and Cerna probably wasn't ready in the fall and maybe wasn't ready in February, but they've kind of ramped him up a little bit, and you're seeing the returns on that. He looks really good. So you need more from Milam. You need a little bit more from Curiel. You need Cerna to blossom. And then I probably just need one other piece. Is it Zach York? Is it Seth Dardar? Is it John Pearson? Like, I need one of those guys. And before you completely roll your eyes at that, Zach York hit lower level pitching for 2 years at Grand Canyon. And the pitching he's just seen previous to this was lower level pitching that he wasn't hitting. So it's not like it's just he mashed bad pitching and then he got to the SEC and couldn't hit. There's something wrong. And he could come out of it. I know he's not everyone's favorite player right now. His defense hasn't been good. His decisions haven't been good. He struck out 4 times on Friday. I get it. I'm not telling you he's going to be better. I'm saying there's an opportunity for that. And they're not just going to stuff him in the locker room and say, don't come out. Dardar hit in the Big 12 last year. He was the best hitter on Kansas State's team. He's hitting 220. It's not like the Big 12 and the SEC are different planets. The SEC is significantly better, but we're not talking massive leaps here. There's a chance he can be better than 220. I'm not saying he's going to hit 320 like he did last year, but he also hit double-digit home runs last year. And he came out, he hit 2 home runs on opening weekend. He hasn't since. There's a chance that can improve. But right now, the root of this thing is not the second baseman kicking the ball, even though that was a big deal and it probably cost you a game. You've got to be more consistent offensively. The gut punch to this whole thing is that while your offense put up a lot of runs in Nashville, you scored over 30 runs in that weekend, your issue now is Vanderbilt's got the worst ERA in the SEC, and they went to Starkville this weekend and got swept, and they got 10 run in the last game. They're injured, and they're not good. So your good offensive production over the last 4 weeks, your one weekend where you did swing the bat, is against a staff that's crippled, and that was evident this weekend. The offense is the focal point here. That's got to improve. I loved what I saw from Evans on Thursday. I think Schmidt's really good. I thought what Guidry and Sheeran gave you this weekend was good enough to win. I mean, I ran the stats on my Around the Horn piece on LouisianaSports.net. Those 4 arms, Evans, Schmidt, Sheeran, Guidry, those 4 arms threw 16 and 2/3 innings and gave up 3 earned runs on 11 hits in 16 and 2/3 innings. They walked 9 and struck out 30. You lead the SEC in strikeouts as a pitching staff. Like you've got some quality pieces to that puzzle. The offense has to get better. It has to. It's a long, long season. We don't have to go too far in the rear view to look at teams that have improved over time. Florida started 1-11 in the league last year, and they made the NCAA tournament. They were 1-11. They got swept 3 of the first 4 weekends, and they made the tournament. LSU the year before that, you know that famously, 3-12, and they got it rolling. Ole Miss in 2023 was a mediocre team at the middle of the season and turned it on and won a national championship. I'm not talking about winning a national championship. I'm just suggesting that you can get better. There can be improvements. And something's got to happen with this offense because 13th in batting average, 11th in slugging, and 12th in doubles is just not going to get it. And there are guys on this roster that can be better than they've been. There just are. You just got to hope that something happens. And you were close to winning that series. You were close to winning the series at Vanderbilt. But close doesn't count. You lost the games. You lost. And your resume right now is that you lost. And you are one of 4 teams in the league that hasn't won one of the 2 series. You got to get it going at some point. And right now they're just not hitting. Just not nearly enough hard contact. Got 2 homers on Saturday. Your other 2 hits were a flare into center field and a ground ball to the third baseman. That's not good enough baseball. So got more to talk to about it. Talk about with it. I'm going to talk about the injury to Cooper Moore. That's obviously a huge storyline from the weekend, so I'll get into that coming up in 15 minutes. So there's more to do. Stick with us here. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. New year here. If you're looking for new wheels, maybe your lease is about to expire. It's just time to get behind the wheel of something new. Fabry Chevrolet GMC is happy to help you out with that. And if it's a truck that you got your eye on, man, do they have some deals for you, up to $11,000 off Silverados, up to $13,000 off MSRP on GMC Sierras. If you're looking for financing on the Sierras, 0.0 APR finance. I mean, that's just as good as it gets. Go by and see them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You know the Fabry family's been at this for 35 years. They will take good care of you. They've been doing it in this town for generations. Customer service is phenomenal. The buying experience is great. Service after the sale, first rate as well. So make that short drive to St. Francisville, whether you're in the Felicianas or maybe you're here in Baton Rouge, cross the river, Port Allen or Bruley. Make that short drive up to Highway 61 in St. Francisville and see my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Find them online at fabrychevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Find them online at GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. Also want to remind you about my friends over at Marucci. Go by and take a tour at Marucci. I tell you about Marucci every day. It is such a cool thing that we have here in Baton Rouge. And I feel like a lot of folks haven't taken advantage of just seeing what a gym it is. It's an incredible story of 2 decades of work to go from a backyard shed where it's just 2 former big leaguers and then a trainer saying, hey, let's make some bats. And now all of a sudden it's the best bat in the world. And it's right here in Baton Rouge. Go hear that story. Go see where they make 1,200 bats every single day. By taking that tour, MarucciSports.com/campus-tour is how you get tickets. And every single ticket that you buy comes with a 20% discount in the Campus Tour store and in the hitter's house. So go and buy and see it. Grab some bats. Take some swings. You got a youth baseball team, take them over for a team building exercise. Got a youth softball team, same deal. Go see them at Marucci. They make the official bat of Major League Baseball. They're online at MarucciSports.com. All right, LSU spring football begins tomorrow, and I kind of wanted to start that conversation today. We'll see what we see tomorrow. But I posed the question to our whole staff here at 104.5 ESPN. What are you looking for in the spring? I just left it very open-ended for the station survey that we've got running on LouisianaSports.net right now, and got a lot of different answers. Hester's very intrigued by looking at the running backs. Matt Flynn wanted to talk about Tradez Green. There's a ton of curiosity about wide receiver because you've got so many new faces at that position. Certainly the backup quarterback, which will be front and center with Sam Levitt out, got a lot of love as well. My answer for the question was less based on a question mark on the roster and more based on the actual information that we do get from going to practice. We don't really know what guys are going to look like against Clemson by checking out spring ball, but you can get a sense for rotations. And I think even more so, you can get a sense for rotations on the LSU defense this spring. Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. with that new offensive staff are probably throwing a lot of stuff against the wall to see what sticks offensively. You've got a whole new offensive line to deal with. You've got a whole new wide receiver group. You got 3 brand new quarterbacks. Only 2 of them can practice. Like, there's so much moving over there on the offensive side that, like, they're going to be doing a lot of stuff. Defense, you got the same coordinator, and you do have a lot of returning pieces. You are missing a ton of guys, no question about that, but there are a lot of pieces that are returning, and specifically in the secondary you do. DJ Pickett is back. P.J. Woodland is back. Tamarcus Cooley is back. So that's 3 guys that played a ton of football for you that are back. But I know where Pickett and Woodland stand. I don't know what Cooley's situation is. And then you went into the transfer portal, and you really did load up on some guys that I think can help. I think Ty Benefield is absolutely a day one starter. I don't know where, though. I don't know if he's a deep safety, if he is a box safety. I don't know if he plays the star role. Like, I'm not sure what that looks like. You also went and got Mansour Delane's brother, Fahim, who was a former 4-star recruit who played a good bit at Ohio State. Like, he's physically ready to play as well. And oh, by the way, I didn't mention in the returners, like Deshaun Spears is back as well. So I think you can get a reasonable suggestion of what they're looking at if we go out there to 4 or 5 practices and you just see where guys are lining up. You got Pickett over here. You got Woodland over here. Okay, good. Now, who's star, who's nickel? I'm not sure. I'm curious about that. I feel like Ty Benefield makes a lot of sense there, but I also absolutely could see Deshaun Spears playing there. Those guys are similar. They're long, and they're not afraid to tackle. So I think that those guys make a lot of sense. Cooley is a complete wild card and really a chess piece to me. He can play all those spots as well. It wouldn't stun me to see him come down and play some nickel if you feel like you've got more impact safeties. I'll tell you this, DeMarcus Cooley will take his job and play hard with it. Like he played as hard as anybody on that team last year. I love that Hester continued to bring this up, and I noticed it as well just watching the game with my own eyes. Last year, you could count on A.J. Halsey and DeMarcus Cooley to give you all the effort. I mean, they were going to play extremely hard all the time. And there were instances where LSU wasn't great on defense. Certainly weren't great on defense against Vanderbilt. You were terrible on defense in the second half against Texas A&M. Like, you had some issues on defense for sure. But the effort was always there with those guys. So this is a position group that I think is interesting and potentially very, very, very good. You've now got Corey Raymond entrenched there, and he's bringing in the talent that he wants. And so we'll get a look at what Aiden Anding is. We'll see what Havon Finney can be. They certainly like him as well. And there are some ancillary pieces that may get a look, but it feels like you're looking at a group of 5, 6 guys. I just don't know where they line up. And I think that that's something I can draw from. Practice is, how do I say this? It creates overreaction. Like, I'm well aware of that. I've been going to LSU football practices almost annually since 2010. That's 16 years, which sounds wild to say out loud. But we get these little morsels of information, and you probably try to extrapolate a little bit too much. It's just natural. Like, we're going in there, you're trying to, I mean, I'm assuming Lane Kiffin's going to give us 15 minutes. Like, that's my assumption. If he gives us an hour and a half, great. That's great for you. We'll be able to talk a little bit more. But you're trying to take roll, and you're rushing a couple of reps, and all of a sudden you put something out there, and then everything gets exacerbated, and everybody. But I don't think that's a risk when you look at rotations. When you look at performance, yes. Oh my gosh, this guy made a big play. He's going to be a star. Like, I remember the best 2 plays we saw the first day of fall camp last year. The best 2 plays we saw were made by the same guy, Destin Hill. He made 2 huge plays. Skied up with a one-handed catch, made one where he 2 feet in. I mean, it was the first day of practice. Like, oh my God, this guy's got some talent. Well, Destin Hill didn't even really play. Like, so that's the kind of thing that can happen. I don't fear that kind of an overreaction with rotations. And I think that with Baker's system in, with Corey Raymond entrenched, like, you're looking at a rotation that they're comfortable with, and they know what they're getting into in spring ball. You're not installing a system. You're not learning a lot of new faces. You've got Benefield, Delane, and then you got a bunch of guys that you had back. I want to see where those guys line up and where they play. I think this defensive backfield, even losing A.J. Halsey and Mansour Delane, who were stars this past year, I feel very good about what LSU has in the defensive backfield. I think Pickett could evolve into one of the best corners in the country this year. I think Woodland is a dog. I think he plays hard. I think he doesn't realize he's undersized, and he just wants to be physical and make some plays on the ball. He does a good job with that. And then I think the talent that you've got at safety with Spears, Benefield, Delane, Cooley, all those guys, I think that's a good group. And there are questions that I have about the defensive front, about the pass rush. You feel great at linebacker. But I think the secondary could emerge as a real strength of this team. And I like that. In this era of football, when you've got a lot of teams that want to sling it around, covering is just vital. You've got to be able to cover. And I feel like LSU is going to be very, very good at that. I'm just not sure what the order of operations is going to be for those guys. So that's something we'll be able to see the first day when we go out there. Hey, where do you line up? Write it down, and we'll talk about it. Maybe that's an excitement deal for me because it's not a question mark. It's what I perceive to be a real strength, and that's more fun to talk about than what could go wrong. But I want to see what that rotation looks like for DBU, and we'll get a good look at that hopefully tomorrow about 10 o'clock when they let us go out there and watch a little bit of practice. So looking forward to it. Pro Day was today. Chris Marler is going to be here in 30 minutes to discuss what he saw. Sounds like big day for Harold Perkins, big day for Mansour Delane, and a very interesting day for Chris Hilton, who I believe is doing defensive back work. So we'll talk to Chris about what he saw over at Pro Day coming up in 30 minutes. Our Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. We'll step aside, come back with more. Switch back to baseball. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power. GoTro's Outdoor Power. It is here. Mower Madness is here this week. If you are looking to get behind the wheel of a new zero-turn mower, you need to be going to Gotros Outdoor Power this week. 2 locations, Airline Highway and, of course, in Gonzales as well. Look, all week, everything is on sale. So this is the best prices you're going to see all year at Gotros. Get on by. They got product giveaways. You got $250 off Hustler Raptors, 15% off all Echo products. And listen to this one. Up to 32% off the MSRP on all Hustler commercial zero-turn mowers. Up to 32% off MSRP all week long. Plus, they're going to be raffling off 2 DeWalt 20-volt blowers at each store on Friday when they've got the open house. If you want to swing on by Friday, they're going to have food. They're going to have giveaways. It's going to be an awesome time. But if you're looking to get a new mower, it's spring, grass is growing, time to get behind the wheel. Go check them out at Gotros. It is Mower Madness on Airline Highway and in Gonzales. Gotros Outdoor Power.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Kick off every week with our Monday shows brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. You can find them online at GuaranteeHealth.com. You know, Rachel Fricke, who runs the show over there at Guarantee Health Solutions, has got a background in hotels and hospitality. And that's what she's brought to the healthcare system with Guarantee Health Solution. If you're a dental office, if you're an urgent care, if you're a hospital, wherever you are in the healthcare space, Guarantee Health Solutions is here as an operational expert. They're going to make sure that the patient experience is phenomenal. That's not always the case in the healthcare world. And while you're tending to patients, maybe something like that can slip through the cracks. That's where Guarantee Health Solutions can come in and help you. They can do a full assessment of the patient journey. How easy is it to access care? How many clicks to care is what they say when you look at your website online. They can do things like helping make sure that patients are kept abreast of when their annual visit is supposed to be and get them into the door. They are a growth partner with you in the healthcare space. Concierge Healthcare is absolutely growing. Guarantee Health Solutions can help you out with that. This is an operation that's managed over 1 million patients a year. They're in 12 states with 23 partnerships. And for those of you in the healthcare space, you know that Net Promoter Score is a big, big deal. They've made huge impacts with some of their partners really, really quickly. They went from a 65 to a 90 in just 3 months with a partner recently. If you're in the healthcare space and you just want a second set of eyes on all of your operation, Guarantee Health Solutions is here to help you. They can help you online at GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. All right, obviously losing the weekend was a big deal for LSU baseball. You had a chance by winning on Thursday to come out and get a home series and get back to 500 in league play, and you weren't able to do that, and that was a big deal. But maybe the most impactful storyline of the weekend was the exit of Cooper Moore on Friday. I'm watching the game on TV, and you see just a spiked fastball from a guy who's got really, really good command. And then the trainer comes out, and Cooper Moore's just holding the ball down by his waist. And he never attempted another warm-up pitch. They never put their hands on him. He just walked off the field. And, I'm not here to be a doctor. I'm not here to be all doom and gloom, but I've watched enough baseball in my day. You see an errant pitch. The trainer comes out. There's no contact. The pitcher doesn't throw a warm-up and just walks off the field irritated. That oftentimes is worst-case scenario. It just is. Thankfully, it appears this was not. But that's what it felt like on Friday. On Friday, me personally, with no medical background and no information on Cooper Moore, I just looked at that on the television and went, he's done. That's what it looked like. But they did some imaging. Nothing structurally wrong. There's a little bit of inflammation, and Jay Johnson told us on Saturday after the game, just gotta shut him down for 10 days and then ramp him up slowly for 10 days. You're looking at about 20 days there. That's 3 weeks. So probably miss 3 series is kind of what you're looking at for Cooper Moore. That would put you at the halfway point, and you'd have 5 left to go. I would suggest in my analysis of the team, I'm not Jay Johnson. He's got a job to do. I'm not Isaac Trujillo, the trainer. He's got a job to do. I'm not Cooper Moore. He's got a future. This is just me analyzing the team. I think it's ambitious to imagine that in 3 weeks, Cooper Moore's just going to show up and be good as new. He could be. That'd be awesome. But I think one of the things we do a little bit prematurely is track pitchers' return to action and their effectiveness. I'm on the conservative side on that. So this is something LSU's going to have to mitigate in the short term and potentially longer without more. And so what does that look like? Well, you do catch a small break that's pretty insignificant, honestly. But you did move the series up last weekend. So William Schmidt did pitch on Saturday. He very comfortably slots in next Saturday, doesn't have to change a thing. So you've got Evans on Friday, you've got Schmidt on Saturday, and then you're just going to pitch Game 3 on Sunday the way that you've basically done it Jay Johnson's entire career here. LSU has not had a true third starter for 9 years. Like Eric Walker in 2017 was the last guy I would really look at and say, okay, he gets the ball on Sunday. He's absolutely capable of going 6 innings of 2-hit baseball. Like they haven't had that in a long time. And it looked like this team was kind of rounding into that, and that could be a strength of this team, and now Cooper Moore is out. So you're not going to – I would be flat line stunned, fall out of my chair stunned if Jay Johnson announced a Sunday starter on Thursday of this week. Like, absolutely stunned. Because he never does, one. And two, he's not going to know because I don't think they're going to hold anyone for Sunday. Like, you have been holding William Schmidt for Game 3s. He was not going to pitch on Game 1 or Game 2 at any point over the first 6 weeks of baseball. You were holding him. That is gone. You're not holding Zach Cowan. You're not holding Gavin Guidry. You're not holding anyone. You are going to go with the guy you think gives you a chance to win on Friday when Evans is done. Same thing on Saturday when Schmidt is done. And I like it with a third starter, but you rarely have it. And if you look around the Southeastern Conference right now, there are some teams that feel like they have it early on. Texas does. Arkansas does. There are some, but not everybody. There's just a big injury for Mississippi State. Their Friday night guy is going to miss a little bit of time. There are TBAs all over the place in this league. And that's what LSU is going to jump into. Jay Johnson's comfortable with that. And yes, he's comfortable with that. They've done that. This is a big loss, though, because I think Cooper Moore is good. And he looked good on Friday before he got hurt. Optimistically, you hope he returns and he hits his stride late in the season. And this is just a chance for him to get healthy, to lessen the amount of innings that he'll have to throw this year. But it's bad because that's a guy in a weekend is a collection of outs, right? That's what the term I like to use. That's a guy you could comfortably lean on for 15 outs every weekend. And now you have a hole of 15 outs. And you saw this week, even with Evans pitching into the 8th inning and dominating, and with Moore getting you 5 innings, Schmidt's pitch count got elevated, and you kind of had to go to your horses, and you were probably 1 inning short. Gavin Guidry needed to come out 1 inning earlier at about 55 pitches instead of 70 pitches. You were 1 arm short there. And now you're taking Moore's 15 outs out of the equation. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now, if Zach Cowan can return to the form of last year, good. You can count on him for probably 9 outs. And then you're going to have some of these other guys step up. Like, I feel really good about Guidry. I feel really good about Sheeran. I thought those guys did look very good on Saturday. And I feel great about Evans and great about Schmidt right now. You're leading the SEC in strikeouts. And that's not just because of the non-conference. You struck out a boatload of Oklahoma guys, and you struck out a lot of Vanderbilt guys. You're going to strike a lot of guys out. You've got enough stuff to do that. But you've got to have some guys step forward to throw strikes and probably give you more than they have in the first 2 weekends. So this is a difficult blow for LSU to absorb, but potentially it's not as bad as or at least I shouldn't speak for y'all, not as bad as I thought it was when Cooper Moore walked off the mound. Because when a pitcher holds his arm off to his side, shakes his hand, and then doesn't throw a warm-up pitch, I don't generally have a very positive reaction to that. So I think Jaden Newt may have to step up a little bit. I think Marcos Paz may have to step up a little bit. Your left-handers, Garcia and Plog, are going to have to help. And you're just going to have to cover here. It's not an ideal spot in the schedule for Cooper Moore to miss. Kentucky isn't a powerful lineup, but it's been a productive one. And then you got Tennessee in a very, very small ballpark. They haven't hit a lot, but it's a small ballpark. You got Ole Miss, who hits a ton of home runs. You got Texas A&M coming in. They hit a lot of home runs. Like, you've got a lot of good offenses coming up or small ballparks coming up. And you're going to be without Cooper Moore for a little bit. It stings, but you got to find somebody else. Hopefully it's a 3-week deal, and we'll see. But that's a look at LSU from a pitching perspective. We may talk a little bit of defense coming up later on in the show. When we come back, let's take a look at the weekend that was on the hardwood, both for LSU's women and for the men in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, it may not be a huge full-scale renovation. It could be. They can do that for you. They did it for Brian Haldane, who's our morning show on Talk 107.3. Brian's talked about it on his show consistently. They were thrilled with a big renovation of their master bathroom. Maybe it's something simple, though, like a tub-to-shower conversion. If you got a tub that doesn't work, you got a tub that's old and dingy and you don't take baths, you just take a shower standing in that tub, well, take it out. Put in a walk-in shower. Change the look of your bathroom. Change the functionality of your bathroom. Add a little value to your home. David Vaughn and his team can do that in short order and in a cost-effective way. You're talking about potentially a 3 to 5 day project if it's a tub-to-shower conversion. They do these all the time. It's the bread and butter over at One Bath and Closet. So if you've got a non-functioning tub, you've got one that's unsightly or doesn't look good or that you don't use, get rid of it. Tub-to-shower conversion over there at One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Electrical Services can help you out if you're looking for that Generac home standby generator. When you think about the generator, you first think about keeping that power on, right? That's natural. You want to do that when we have these hurricanes that roll through, the summer storms. It can be a little nasty to knock the power out. We even had a winter event this past winter. Look, Boudreaux's Electrical understands that, and they'll help you with it. But there's another aspect that you got to think about when you think about getting that Generac home standby generator at your home. It's the customer service aspect. You're going to want Boudreaux's Electrical to be here to monitor that generator. You're going to want Boudreaux's Electrical to be here to do maintenance and service on that generator. You're going to want the personal touch of a family-owned and operated business maintaining your Generac home standby generator. You can get one from the big box stores. That's doable. But are you ever going to hear from them again? That's why you go with the family-owned and operated business. Neil, Melissa, Boudreaux have been at this for 40 years. They know what they're doing. And they're here in South Louisiana, and they understand the needs of the people in this region. So if you're looking for that Generac home standby generator, give them a call at 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. They've also got a Gonzales location. 225-300-9389. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Find them online at boudreauxelectrical.com. Okay, let's start with LSU's women's basketball team, which won its 2 games by 112 points over the weekend. Here's the deal with women's basketball in that tournament. For the purposes of our discussion locally, it's like an 8-team tournament. Like that's about it. It's not a 64-team tournament. This weekend was just a cakewalk. There are haves, there are have-nots in women's college basketball. We talked to Patrick Wright about it on Friday. He said, look, the women's game hasn't gotten to the point where 16s can push 1s, where 15s can push 2s, even where 14s can push 3s. We've seen that in the men's tournament at times over the last few years. We have not in the women's game. And they did. I mean, it was child's play over the weekend. I mean, I saw Southern's women were 54.5-point underdogs, and they didn't cover. They lost by 69 to South Carolina over the weekend. So this was a weekend for LSU to get back on the floor, which they did after 2 weeks off, which is the schedule in the SEC in women's college basketball, to get out there and play some defense, which I thought they did, to see the ball go through the bucket, which they obviously did. They scored over 100 in both games. And honestly, if we're being honest, celebrating Flaugier. Like that's part of what this weekend was about. And it all went great. They played good defense. They made some shots. They got Flaugier out of the game with, I think, 7 minutes to go. Yeah, great. That's all you were looking for from this weekend. Next weekend, things ramp up. Like you're playing a Duke team that you've beaten, I think by 16, and I would expect LSU to win that game. And then at that point, you get to the Elite Eight. Now everybody starts playing each other. That is what this tournament is. So I don't have any like basketball analysis for the weekend on LSU's women. They were just way better than those teams, and they smashed them. So if you had a ticket and you went, probably had a lot of fun. I think LSU's women had a lot of fun. I think Kim Mulkey is happy with where her team is right now. That's really all this was. I think in a lot of instances, you want to analyze like how this team's how you play against Texas Tech has really no bearing on how you play against Duke and certainly UCLA. So that's when we start breaking this thing down, not over the weekend. So great stuff from Kim Mulkey's team. Awesome stuff from Flage. I thought the team played very, very well, but they're just way better. So that is what that is. Now, on the men's side, I think there is an interesting discussion to be had. The mid-major got dusted for a second year in a row. And I think when we think about this tournament, we often think about Lehigh beating Duke and Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue and all those crazy upsets that you saw with like Dunk City beating Georgetown and Bucknell beating Kansas. And
Jack Golke, Kentucky.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you think about those games, and they're great memories. I mean, one of my favorite all-time March Madness memories, I was a senior in high school. I was in physics class at Loyola, and our physics teacher was an assistant basketball coach. He was the head coach of the JV team, and he let us watch Northwestern State play Iowa. My good buddy, who was my high school point guard when I was a junior, walked on at Northwestern. He was on the team that hit the corner three to beat Iowa. It was on a Thursday, and I was in physics class, and we went nuts in the class, so much so that an administrator came up and asked us what we were doing. We turned the TV off by that point and acted like we were still in physics class. But, like, yeah, that's Northwestern State over Iowa, incredible upset, great memories. And it feels like those are fleeting. It feels like that because you don't have Steph Curry at Davidson for 3 years. Steph Curry goes to Davidson for 1 year, and then he transfers to Kentucky. Like, that's what Steph Curry does now. You don't have those seniors that have played together for 3 years on these mid-majors because no one plays anywhere for 3 years. So I think those stories are going to be few and far between. And I think there are a lot of people that would look at that and go, oh, that's such a bummer. It's like that takes away from one of the greatest tournaments. You know what it doesn't do? Take away from it for me. Because you know what's awesome? Watching Rick Pitino and Bill Self coach against each other because the big boys got through to the second round. And what's coming next weekend when you just have blue bloods and lottery picks and studs all over the place and legendary coaches. Like, yeah, it's fine if you want Florida Atlantic to make a run or George Mason to make a run or Florida Gulf Coast to make a run. Like, that is a good story. But I like the good basketball too, and you're going to get really good basketball. When the plucky underdog of the bunch is Texas, you've got hoopers out there, and I'm excited to watch that this coming weekend. To me, I'd rather watch the future NBA guys go than the off chance of the plucky underdog making a run. Because like Florida got to play George Mason in the Final Four when LSU got there, and LSU staring at UCLA on the other side. It's a little bit different deal. So I think that the new rules have really, really hurt the mid-majors. There's a reason. I think the favorites went 16-0 on Friday. Like that's what's going to happen when the mid-majors get all their talent plucked away and the big budgets are getting the big players. But that's just going to create really good basketball in the round of 32, 16, 8, 4, and 2, obviously. I'm good with it. You cool with it, Jordan?
I mean, listen, when you have an Arkansas versus Arizona matchup in the Sweet 16, it doesn't get no better than that. It does not get no better than that. And, yeah, I guess you can say the smaller schools are, like I said, they're dying off. But I just think the bigger schools, their floor is a lot more higher now. You know, especially how the roster construction, seeing a lot of these teams where they're so big, they're so tall, and all these little schools, they're not going to have the same type of height. You're going to have to go run five guys out there to play Duke. Like, all we got is 5. So, yeah.
Sienna.
Yeah, like Sienna. Like, all you got is 5. Duke's got a bench, lottery picks, top 3 picks. So it's like, yeah, in that aspect, 100% right. But when you're talking Sweet 16 now and up, where you're just going to get these Titan matchups.
I mean, the East coming up this weekend it's Duke against Pitino, St. John's.
Elite.
And then Izzo and Hurley, Michigan State, UConn.
You can't get no better matchup than that.
As cool as Florida Gulf Coast is in the Sweet 16, I'll take that.
All day.
I mean, you got Iowa and Nebraska, which is interesting. But then on the other side, you got Illinois and Houston, which are two heavyweights, Underwood and Sampson.
Yeah, Florida.
Obviously, Hughes. I think Tennessee and Iowa State is going to be an absolute physical war. Michigan is my pick to win the national championship. You know,
Okay.
Alabama's going to shoot 42 threes coming up in that game.
I know you hate Alabama.
I
They're
do,
so
a ton.
fun to watch. They're so fun.
Texas. I mean, Oates plays an amazingly
say,
fun
so
brand of
fun.
basketball. I just despise him. It just is what it is. But then you mentioned Arizona, Arkansas, and then
Elite.
Texas, Purdue, which those are two of the better coaches in the
Yes,
country
Matt
right
Painter.
there.
You know, Hunt, tell me this. Why does nobody talk about Tennessee? It feels like they're always here when the
Because
smoke
they've never
clears.
made the Final Four.
But it's like when the smoke clears, they're always in the talks.
They made 4 straight Sweet 16s. Barnes is an incredible coach.
Yeah.
He's had great talent. He's got a lottery pick on this team in Ament.
Yeah.
Like they're awesome, but they haven't gotten to the Final Four. They just like they
gotta
have
get over that
never
hump.
they've never beat the door down. So that's the point. And they're going to have to work really, really hard this weekend to get to the Final Four. I mean, sitting right in front of them is going to be Iowa State and then probably Michigan.
Iowa State's a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, they're good. So yeah, it's feel great for Nebraska. What a win for Iowa. Just incredible stuff. I don't love Todd Golden either, so I thought that was great.
Florida blew it, man.
They did. But yeah, you're getting some real basketball coming up this weekend, and I'm okay with that. With Cinderella being out of the dance. We'll see. That's it for hour number 1. We'll come back with Chris Marlowe talking LSU Pro Day. That is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is that website. How about a captive? Have you looked at a captive? Has your insurance broker showed you a captive? If you are a sizable business, sizable operation, and you pay a significant amount in insurance premiums and you have not been approached about a captive, your broker may not have the capability. It's possible. At the Howard Insurance Group, they do it all the time. And so I think this is the future of insurance. They certainly do at the Howard Insurance Group as well. It can be a game changer for your business's bottom line if you fit into a captive. It's about fit. You got to have a sizable premium. You've got to have good loss history, great risk management. But if you have those things, you check those boxes, let Jonathan Carbo sit down and talk to you about a captive. It could be a financial difference maker for your organization. Insurance costs are significant. You can potentially lessen them with a captive program. Check them out online at HighlandIG.com. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.